Father Reed, thank you very much for being with us here.
Mr. Dougherty, it is a pleasure and an honor. Thanks for your hospitality.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you here. And again, coming all the way from Boston. Is that your home?
It is. I was actually born in the city.
Oh,
I was born right in the city. My parents were from the city, Jamaica Plain, and
they probably have a plaque for you then.
No plaques, no plaques. No, just behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. Yeah. Well, again, as president of CatholicTV in Boston, tell us a little bit about the organization. How does it work? How does it function?
Well, it's old, older actually than I am. We count the genesis of CatholicTV to January 1st, 1955, when the first Mass was broadcast live. And so since then, we had, as you do here at KNXT, a broadcast license for a short period of time. Couldn't make a go of it financially, so sold it. And then cable TV came on the scene, and we became a cable television provider, and we're now 24/7. In New England and a lot of the providers in different pockets of the country. Mm-hmm. In a nutshell, that's it. But it goes back, it will be 60 years this coming January.
You also feed to satellite, so you feed in other parts of the country. Yep. And I understand Hawaii too. You get over to Hawaii.
We do. As a matter of fact, we just had our annual telethon, as I know you do as well. And we got a fair number of calls from Hawaii. There's a good Monsignor down there at one of the parishes who pushes CatholicTV. But it's great to be on in the islands and to know that it's a big country and it's a great country, and it's a country that's about 25% Catholic.
Mm-hmm. How do you how many programs do you produce in a given week or a month or something?
Sure.
A season.
It's hard to, I don't know the exact number of programs, but we produce about 35% of our programming, both live and recorded. We have the Mass live every morning we have a beautiful small chapel that's also a studio. We have a live morning show. We do events from our own cathedral at times. And then we're constantly in production. You know how it is, you have to think ahead. We're thinking about, Lent and Easter of next year right now. Christmas is in the can. And that's just how things go. So we're always having people come in, as I'm privileged to be here in your studios today, and we're always trying to think ahead and say, we got to have great content that not only interests people, but also is fundamental to this new evangelization that we're all about, that's connecting with people, re-energizing their faith, and particularly when it comes to those who are sick or elderly, keeping them in touch with the church that they love so much. Mm-hmm.
What about, there aren't too many of us in Catholics around in the sense of producing television programming. We do it here as the only full-power TV station in the U.S. You are doing it in providing service to satellite and cable systems. Why has the Catholic Church or the diocese been so absent in playing with television, I guess?
That's a great question, and it's a question that I've pondered for many, many years. I think you're incredibly fortunate here to have a full-power broadcast station that's at the service of the church, at the service of the gospel. I mean, I can't imagine a greater gift to the people because, let's face it, television is one of the more powerful things that human ingenuity has created. Think Super Bowl and what an ad goes for Super Bowl. Now, I know you're not a commercial station and neither are we, but to be on the dial, to be present here in the greater Fresno area and back in Boston for us, I think it's a very powerful thing. It's a witness to the fact that the church is alive and well, despite what they might say. Mm-hmm.
Are you active in social media? Are you getting into that in your organization?
We are. At one time, I was kind of the social media kingpin of CatholicTV. But I quickly found out that I was getting perhaps too old for that, and I didn't necessarily speak the language completely. So we actually brought on a wonderful young woman Helen, who actually studied social media and theology at Fordham University. And she's been a great asset to us because she's young, far younger than me and yourself. No offense. But she speaks the language, you know, and she understands what is going to interest people, what's going to catch their attention, and then bring them back to our programming, both online and on cable.
Mm-hmm. Have you thought, sitting down, you know, in those days where you think, where's this all going? What are we going to be doing in 5 years or 10 years? Have you thought about that? Do you have any ideas of that whole scheme?
Well, something makes me think that TV, like newspapers, like radio, it's not going away, but it's slowly evolving. And certainly, you know, the broad use and penetration of the internet has been a factor in that, the evolution of television. A lot of people, as you well know, are cutting the cable, and they're going with rabbit ears once again and watching beautiful high-definition television coming over the airwaves. Or they're going with some kind of over-top device like Roku or Google TV or a television set that's you know, kind of set up for that. So there's an evolution going on. It's been going on for many years, a convergence, if you will. And at the same time, when I go into people's homes, for example, I was just in a home the other day. A woman is sick and the family was there. And there in the living room, the hospital bed and all the chairs and couch, all facing a giant flat panel TV screen. So it's still king. Mm-hmm. And people still turn their chairs to it and watch it, but not necessarily the way they watched it, as you know, 10, 20, 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. You know, they might DVR stuff and watch it later, or they might have, as I say, some of these devices and have other avenues for bringing media into their home other than just television.
Of course, the kids today are so savvy with media. I mean, they're walking around with these cameras in their hands 24/7, and this is a new generation of producers that are coming up. Yeah. Do you ever get anything from young people that they have produced by, again, their iPhones, or do you encourage that?
We actually do. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a perfect example. Just the other day on our live morning show, we did two young people from BC, Boston College, and they were in to talk about a new student newspaper, which just goes to show you that the newspaper is still viable, although changing, like other forms of old media. But two very, very bright, committed Catholics, one a graduate student, one a junior. And they have a section in the paper called Catholicism 101. And we've done this before with people. I said to them afterwards, I says, let's think about this and let's talk, because you're producing this newspaper every month, and you have 4 Catholic students who are writing an article about something that is integral to our Catholic faith. Why couldn't they come in and do a shortened version of that? And we'll create a set for them, and we'll produce this both for television interstitially and also for use online. And you can use it. We'll put it up on YouTube. And they were thrilled. We've done that before. There's a young guy, just as another example, by the name of Seth DeMoore. And when he got out of college, he decided that there were a lot of stories, great stories for Catholics to tell. In fact, there were 1 billion of them, because there are about 1 billion Catholics in the world, and every one of us has a story. Mm-hmm. So he started going around and interviewing people with his camera. So we've turned that into an ongoing series called 1 Billion Stories. Mm-hmm. And that all came from his enthusiasm as a young college student for his Catholic faith.
Yeah. Used to be an old TV show, the Naked City in New York. If you're too young for that, but I remember it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, they used to say there's a million stories in the Naked City, okay. And when you said that, that reminded me of that particular thing. But there's 6 billion people in the world, and I guess there's 6 billion stories if we could ever get to them.
True enough.
Terrific. Again, as a Catholic priest now, what's the impact you see of Pope Francis?
Oh my gosh. I just love the guy, and I really, really do. I've never had anybody in my life that I admired so much that I would say they're my idol. And he probably wouldn't like to hear that, but I mean it in a very healthy way, because I'm a parish priest. I mean, I know I work at CatholicTV, but my heart is in the parish. I grew up being very fond of the priests who were in my parish, and it was because of them that the vocation stirrings came about. Some great guys who were very good to me and my family. And so, Pope Francis is like a parish priest in the white soutane of the Bishop of Rome. He understands that it really is all about encountering the Lord Jesus in the life of the church, in the sacraments, certainly in our prayer, but encountering him in one another, especially those who live on the peripheries of our family and our parishes and our local communities and society as a whole. And he doesn't just say those words, as Jesus. He lives the message. He walks the talk. And you see him doing it all the time, and it's not a show. It's not done for the cameras, Of course, the cameras are always on him. But he's drawn to people, especially those who are struggling. And so he is, to me, the ultimate for what I'm supposed to be, for the people that I serve in the parishes where I help out and the people I serve on Catholic TV. Just love the guy. Hope I get the chance to meet him someday. And if I ever do, I'm going to tell you this, his pectoral cross that he wears is an iron cross that he wore as Archbishop. And it has on it the Good Shepherd carrying the lost sheep on his shoulders, and behind him the 99 that didn't go astray. And I just want to kiss that cross because I think that's emblematic of his papacy and who he is as a priest, a bishop, and the Pope.
Well, if you ever see him and talk to him, tell him I said hello, would you?
I certainly will.
Please do that.
Does he know? Are you on a first name basis?
Well,
Colin?
we email each other all the time, but
Great.
he hasn't answered yet, and I'm trying to get in there.
You never know.
No, you never know.
You might get a phone call someday.
Yes. Of course, he has, he's become the centerfold, the wrong word to use, but, he's on the cover of Rolling Stone, he's on the cover of Time magazine, and I think the entire populace of the world has embraced him as a man of the cloth and of God.
Yeah, they certainly have, and so it should be for all of us, and that's why I say I look up to him, I admire him so much, and not just for priests, but for all of us. We should so wear our Catholicism on our sleeves, our Christianity, our baptism. It should be so much a part of everything that we do, as much as possible. We're all sinners, and we're going to screw up and fail. But we should be wearing our faith on our sleeves as he does. And if everybody were to do that, if everyone were to be, like Pope Francis in their own personal lives as a parent, a grandparent, a religious, a priest, whatever, I think the world would be a far better place.
Yeah. It's a backdoor question here for you. You're probably not prepared for this one, but do you watch other television besides Catholic television?
A little bit, not much, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, what's your favorite outside of Catholic television program?
Lost in Space.
That's rather old, isn't it?
Well, I'm old. I'm older than I look. Yeah. So no, I watch the news at night. I so love what I do, to be honest with you. I basically, not being married, I basically live at the TV station. I live and eat, sleep, and drink the whole thing. I just think it's a great opportunity for the church, and so I go home. I live with another priest in a rectory where I'm in residence, and I sit and eat my porridge and watch the news at night, and that's about the sum total. And then the rest of the day, of course, everywhere you go, Catholic TV's on every screen. So I watch a lot of Catholic TV.
Is that right?
And a lot of KNXT, because you're very good to share programming with us.
Yes, we are very happy to share programming with you, and we want to continue to do that in the future and get some more of your programming back to us. And
we got to talk.
Yes, we do, because again, there's no, a lot of people don't know this, but there's no library of Catholic television that you can go to and pick off the shelf and say, let's do this or that. We are an odd couple, you might say, in television and producing programming. So, but looking at that, if you could produce your absolute perfect program, what would it be?
What would my absolute perfect program be? Well, I'd certainly...
Money, no object.
Money, no object.
You've never heard of that.
Well, I think a live national program that was very competitive with the networks would be great. But I love to get out of the studio. We don't do it enough, I think, but I love to do that. We have a couple of series that we do on an intermittent basis, and one of them I'd bring up only because it bespeaks what I'm thinking. It's called House and Home, and I just think anybody like yourself that has raised a family, it's just the most amazing thing that I have ever seen, and I appreciate it. I grew up in a family, but I don't have a wife and children. But to be able to do that and pull it off, I think is an amazing thing. So we love to go out and kind of capture in a quasi-reality type series what it is that a family does to turn their house into a real home where the faith is alive. And if I had my wish, I would do a lot more of that, because we just don't get out enough. And I think people need to see the family. And every family is different. No family's perfect. But it's a real testimony to what the church is, because the family is the domestic church. It's the church at its most basic level. So that's what I would do if I could get funding for it. And I'm trying.
And we'll air it if you produce it. We will broadcast it
House
here.
and Home.
House and Home. It's a good name. It sounds more like possibly you would construct something. I'm not sure with one of those reality programs. But I digress. You just came back from Ireland.
I did.
And you produced some programs.
I did,
there.
lad.
That's right. That's where you got the porridge.
I had porridge every day. I said, what? Porridge? What? It's oatmeal. It's a fancy name for oatmeal.
Right.
Yeah, we just got back.
What did you produce there? I mean, what were you doing?
We went over, it was a very tightly put together time. We went over 5 of us, and we have a series on Catholic TV called Catholic Destinations. So we did an episode of that on Loch Derg, which is an island where the Irish go on pilgrimage. St. Patrick's Purgatory is also called. But we also produced 2 episodes of our live morning show, which won't be live, for St. Patrick's Week, and a series of 7 rosaries, because the rosary is a big thing for our viewers. It airs 3 times a day, and we try to take people all over the place and pray the joyful, glorious, luminous, and sorrowful mysteries. So we did that, and also we did some short pieces, some interstitial programming called Irish Blessings in a number of different places. Some beautiful locations. One that comes to mind, Clonmacnoise, which is a 5th century monastic enclosure on the Shannon River. And it was just a gorgeous day. It rained just a little bit because it was island, but the sun came out, and just a glorious scene, and we had the run of the place. It was beautiful.
Fantastic. And then this is going to be aired, obviously, St. Patrick's Day, as you pointed out.
There'll be a lot of it around St. Patrick's Day, but it'll all begin to air next year, 2015.
What other travels, what other countries do you go to find your programming or produce your programming?
Well, we have a great relationship with Vatican TV, so we've been over there a number of times for events like not the canonization, but the beatification of Pope St. John Paul II, a number of the consistories, certainly the consistory that elected Pope Francis and Pope Benedict. We have some good contacts in the city because of my predecessor in my job, Monsignor Paul McInerney, lives in Rome as a resident of the Vatican. So we try to get over there as much as we can. We've been to the Holy Land and also to South America a number of times. So not all these trips I haven't been privileged to be a part of, but the crew's gone. So
now you studied in Rome for the priesthood.
I did. I was very fortunate to be able to study at the North American College. Boston has for a number of years sent over a seminarian just about every year. So I was very fortunate, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. Not easy, because the guys that attend the North American College and prepare for the priesthood there and go to the various universities in the city are some of the cream of the crop from around the country. And so it was very challenging. I was very challenged by the guys that I studied with. And also at the university, men and women from around the country who are studying and preparing for degrees in theology and scripture and liturgy and the like. But it was a great experience to be there, living at the North American College and kind of getting a sense of the church universal, but also the church as it is in this country, because we're all the same, but yet there's differences. We celebrate the faith just a little bit differently. And also to be close to the Vatican. It's extraterritorial Vatican property and just right up the street from St. Peter's Square. So, to walk through the square, almost daily and to see the Holy Father. Pope John Paul II was Pope at that time. And the students from the various colleges will serve Mass for the Pope. So I did that a number of times. I was deacon for Pope John Paul II once on Pentecost Sunday. Just great memories, and it gives you a real sense of the breadth of the Catholic Church in this country and throughout the world.
Mm-hmm. Did you learn to speak Italian while you were there?
Just a bit.
Just enough to
Poco
get
poco.
your Starbucks coffee then?
Enough to get a cappuccino or due, and enough to order dinner, and also to go to the university, and classes were all in Italian. So
okay.
I struggled with that too, but I'm not a linguist. I struggle with English. That's about it.
What about Vatican TV? I assumed since you have your deep interest in television that you visited Vatican TV, and what is that like there? They seem to have a big operation, but not really particularly feeding to America their programming.
Yeah, they do. They have quite an operation, funded in part by the Knights of Columbus, my brother Knights. They have an amazing high-definition truck. And they have an Italian priest who is very creative when it comes to production of these grand events, like, for example, the coverage of the consistory. If you saw any of that on Vatican television, you saw some of the creative genius of the priest who runs Vatican TV. But they're not it's not a 24-hour station like KNXT. But they do produce these big events and do a marvelous job at that and sharing it with the whole world as best they can. So it's quite an operation, and I understand that there is an effort right now, an initiative to really look at how the whole Vatican communications operation functions and to make it far more effective for all of us. Mm-hmm.
Do you find in your travels and your connection with other priests, you have studied television? I mean, that's a degree that you have. Are you a lone wolf in that? Are you sort of standing alone when you start talking television with other pastors and priests, etc.?
I think I might be. It might be somewhat unique to have a degree in it's in administration, TV administration. I bet there are guys that have studied communications, but not necessarily the administration of a TV station. So that is somewhat unique. But I found, like everything, it's one thing to go to class and read books and take tests and go to lectures, but it's another thing to actually do it. I've really learned what TV is and the power of television by working in it and working with some really wonderful and creative people. Mm-hmm. We do have a great crowd, as you do here. I just met some of the women and the men and when I came in today, and I think you and I are both fortunate to have great people, creative people, mm-hmm. committed people that we work with, and I've learned a lot from them.
Yeah. Well, this is a wonderful instrument if we use it right.
Sure
I guess
is.
it's like the first printing press, etc. If you use it right, it'll go places, do many things for you. Again, going back a little bit, where do you see television, or where would you want television to go in, say, the next few years? Mm-hmm.
Well,
I use television in the sense of the screen, not particularly a broadcaster or whatever, but television delivery as it is.
Sure. Well, I would first of all like to see the church, the Catholic Church, that is to say, use television more broadly and effectively. It is, as we've discussed, such a powerful tool. And one of the things that I've learned, talking about learning things outside of school, in the studios, in the engineering suite, in the master control room, it's a very intimate, I feel, very intimate medium. And I think people might not understand what that means, but when I look into the camera, I know that I'm looking at one person. I'm looking at you, and I'm speaking to you heart to heart. And so I think that aspect of television, that very intimate aspect of television, is something that we as a church need to use more effectively, because it is a tool for preaching the gospel message and communicating the word of God that has come down to us from the apostles. And it's a very intimate tool. And to use it more creative and effectively is what I would like to see. In terms of television broadly, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I was told once, Monsignor in our diocese said, if St. Paul would have had television, what he could have done with it, you know. And instead of writing just those letters, he could have spread this around the world instantaneously. But he didn't live in that era, so we have to pick up the gauntlet a little bit and carry on with it. And
just to go back to Pope Francis, I think something makes me think that he does understand the fact that you know, when he speaks, when he interacts with people, that he's being seen on television, on the internet, and he's conscious of that, and knows that his actions, as genuine as they are being watched, and also are affecting other people's lives. I think he knows in his heart the power of this medium.
It appears to be, because he uses it, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, but the people of the world, regardless of what your faith, has picked up on him and want to be close to him.
They do.
And want every image, apparently, that they can possibly get their hands on.
And when he takes selfies with people, of course, when he first started doing that, I mean, it just blew the socks off, I think, of a lot of the people that work in the Vatican. But a simple gesture like that, you know, goes to his understanding of the power of the internet. You know, that image, that moment captured, is going to affect an awful lot of people's lives.
Oh yeah, you know, all of you, if you get a picture with the president, even your governor, sometimes even the mayor can strike, you know, for people to say I was there that day, I did something that day, and here's the picture that I have. So he is certainly, it used to be that popes, governors, presidents pick up babies and kiss them.
That's right.
They still do that.
Yeah.
But today the selfie has, I think, taken that particular lead in getting around the world. Well, we are greatly appreciative of you coming to Fresno and visiting with us, and we want to again find more programming that we can exchange and do between our organizations.
West Coast, East Coast.
That's right.
Or as I like to say, the best coast. You live on the best coast.
You are very, I should put this out, you are very California. I mean, you like California.
I swear I must have lived here in another life. I don't believe in incarnation, don't get me wrong. But I must have lived here in another life,
yeah.
I think.
Well,
because when the wheels touch down, be it here in Fresno or wherever in this great state, I feel like I've come home.
Is that right? Well, that's great. And you like Southern California a little bit more than...
I'll take it all.
You take it all.
I drove down last summer from Seattle all the way to LA and along the coast and just loved it.
Loved it. Terrific. Well, we love that you're here. So terrific. Thank you so much for being with us. And let's not be strangers. Okay. Let's email and Twitter and all the other good social things that we should be doing and have great programming.
Be glad to.
Again,
thanks, Colin.
Thank you.